Yes, people, we are back. Lee Judges and I are in the house, and we've still got tech issues, but we are live, and I hope you can all hear us. Big up everybody watching so far. Make sure you do us a favor, smash a like on this one. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and make sure the advertising here for the North London podcast, which cannot be removed from our screen for whatever reason, is obviously our Thursday night show. We're not going to be around tomorrow night, unfortunately, so it'll be next week's show. It'll be myself, Lee, Henry, and Sean doing weekly stuff, all Arsenal and Spurs content, banter, and of course, rival talk. Judges, how are we?
Oh, I'm good. Like, are you happy where you are? Because normally you're on the left or on the right. Should we
I'm
swap it
happy here.
over?
I'm settled now, mate.
Oh, you settled? Oh, okay, like yeah. So there you go. Yeah, listen, I'm buzzing after last night. I ain't gonna lie. I know that people are gonna turn around and go, "Oh, it was Luton and it was this and it was that." Sometimes, Dan, you just get those games, those one-off games that are completely mad and all that, like that are out of the context of what you've been seeing. I don't know how many away games we've played, 5, 6 away games this season. We've only conceded 3 goals all season. You know, all of a sudden, one game against Luton, we concede 3. I don't care what anybody says. If you're a betting man and you had 4-3 and Luton scoring 3 goals last night, you're a better man than me, like, you know. It was an unbelievable game, you know. Credit to Luton, they put it about. They were physical. They had a game plan, Dan, and they took it to us and targeted things in the corners and things like that. But at the end of the day, listen, if you're going to win a game, that's how to win it in the last kick of the game. You know, like that. Because I think if we'd have won 2-0, just say we'd have won 2-0, you'd have just walked out the ground saying job done and not been as excited. But to win it like that, come on. I know that we don't really enjoy all of that and everything from that point of view. But, you know, listen, I didn't think we played bad. I've watched the game today. We was fantastic with some of our attacking play. Really opened them up on several occasions. Probably could have got a couple more, but you know, defensively we weren't as great. It was. But what about you? I got to say, it was unbelievable at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't at the game. I did the watch along, obviously, and I think sometimes when you're at games like that, it's just absolute raw emotion. And it was for us in the studio, but sometimes it's not quite the same when you're not there. I will say there is many, many positives, but many, many negatives in that game. And I think that proves that we're still not quite there yet. Having said that, the table does not lie. And we are in a very good position right now, Arsenal Football Club. There was a lot I wanted to discuss with you, Lee, and I think tonight there's so many talking points.
Yeah.
I don't really like to start with negatives, but I do like to end on a high. So I am going to kind of brush over the things that I didn't think quite worked so well for us first, and then we'll go into later, which I think is some real positives in terms of some of the individuals we now have at this football club. I think everybody's going to want to talk about it first. The goalkeeping situation goes on. The goalkeeping debate does not seem to end. And unfortunately, mate, when you've got a goalkeeper making errors like that, you know why the debate keeps coming up. It was just about settled, wasn't it? You know, Nick Ramsdale had come out and said, look, it's clear that RAYA's number 1 now. Aaron's got to try and fight to get back into this side somehow. It looks like he's a cup goalkeeper. And that was the end of the debate after the international break. Aaron Ramsdale came in against Brentford and didn't really set the world alight. But it's fair to say that David Raya last night certainly did not either. Now, I'm all for saying, Lee, that this is a goalkeeper that's Premier League proven. I'm all for saying that the goalkeeper of Ramsdale, as well as RAYA, there's not much difference in terms of how much better or worse either of the goalkeepers are. But what I will say, I'm laughing at my dad's comment.
I will say, thanks for that, Steve. Thanks for that. Some people say that's a good thing, like, you know what I mean?
Honestly, it's funny. I've got a story to tell about that in a minute. I honestly don't think there's much between these two goalkeepers. But when he makes howlers like that, Lee, and there's no comeback from it, there's no reaction from Mikel Arteta, is he kind of being a little bit of not a liar, but kind of like, you've been ruthless one time and you're going to be ruthless again? Can't think of the word for it. Where do you stand on that? Last night, that was a shambles from RAYA, mate. Right, that was absolute shambles, Lee.
Yeah, it was. Look, listen, I've gone with Mikel on this one and said, right, yeah, he's the number one. I don't agree with it. I don't like. I think that this is how I see it. Like, you know, I mean, you've got Mikel Arteta is the manager of the football club. It's his choice to bring in and improve the team. Now, if he feels he wants to drop drop Ramsdale and bring in Raya as his number one goalkeeper, that's his prerogative first and foremost. Like, but when he does do that, he's got to be an upgrade on what you've seen. Like, you know, now I'm going to be really honest now, right? And it's got nothing to do with anything else. It's just in what I see. He's played about 10 games, Raya, and he's made 5 or 6 mistakes, which a top goalkeeper will make over a course of 2 or 3 years. Not 10 games, Dan. Not 10 games. To come in and justify dropping someone like Ramsdale for a goalkeeper that has not shown any inkling that he's better than him. I'm sorry. It's for me unbelievable. If did Ramsdale deserve to be dropped? No, not in my opinion. Does Raya deserve to be dropped now? That if you're doing it for Ramsdale, if you do what you've done, if you're being ruthless with Ramsdale, let's see where the ruthless is now with Mikel. I'll guarantee you, I'll put a lot of money on it that Raya's in goal on Saturday. He shouldn't be. If you're going to be ruthless and be fair and do a fighting battle. And the difference between the two goalkeepers and Mister, this is where I've got no sympathy for Raya, is that Raya has got the backing of the coach. He's got the backing of the manager. So he should be in a much more comfortable position when he goes between the sticks than Ramsdale, who knows he's fighting for his career, right? And when your manager knows that when you run out on that pitch, all right, he rates him better than me, like, you know. Now, if you've been in a game and played football and everything like that, how hard is it when you know that if someone's out injured or suspended or something game, you're coming into a game, you know that the next week the manager's going to put you back in the team. So straight away, you've got the confidence in the manager. And that is unbelievable to have that. And to produce the performances that he's doing, is not good enough for me, like, you know what I mean? So for me, I believe at this moment in time, that Raya is making too many mistakes to say he's the number one. And that's my opinion. That is my wholehearted opinion. And the mistakes yesterday, I don't think he'll drop him on Saturday. I fully expect to see Raya back in the goal because he's the number one. And I look at it now and I really do. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, big up Sam. He's just coming.
Big up Sam.
He's
well, you flash sod Sam, like, you know what I mean, like, you know. So well done, Sam. So yeah. So what I'm saying is, from that point of view, right, Raya will be back in, and
the thing is, Lee, Ramsdale's going to play against PSV, so you'd like to think that he would bring him in for those 2 games, but you know he's not going to. And this is the thing, like, I've heard so many rumours about the unhappiness of Ramsdale and how he's been treated and all this kind of thing. But I don't mind that so much if we're bringing in an Alisson or an Ederson, because you know when they walked in at Liverpool, Man City, you were like, "Oh, fair play, Mignolet and Karius, they ain't getting back in." And Joe Hart got shipped out, and everyone thought it was harsh, but you could tell.
yeah.
Ederson was miles better. But with this, it ain't been like that. And Raya, you know, it's all right doing it at Brentford, but he ain't doing it in an Arsenal shirt. And you might say, well, Ramsdale was only at Bournemouth and Sheffield United, and he's now doing it in an Arsenal shirt. Exactly. So he's got to come back in then, isn't he? And the problem you got now, if he does come back in, he might look a nervous wreck as well. So
yeah,
Mikel Arteta, he's caused this problem, hasn't he, Mikel Arteta?
That is the thing. That is the thing now. Like, you know, I see what people are saying. We're talking about adults and great. Listen, if that's the case, Matthew, we wouldn't be talking about this because Ray would have come in and been fantastic. And so would have Ramsdale been at Brentford. But you could see that what how nervous Ramsdale was at Brentford. You know what I mean? This was a situation that didn't need addressing. This was something that at the end of it has been brought on by the manager, the goalkeeping coach. Edu's got to take some responsibility for because he has to okay these as well. It was unnecessarily putting pressure on the team and whatever, like, you know. And now we've got a problem, Dan. We have got a problem because I agree with what people are saying. Sometimes the best thing was to do if you felt that Raya was your number one goalkeeper, you get him in and you sell Ramsdale. What you've done there is produced an absolute minefield as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Like, you know what I mean? And yes, as we say, Ramsdale didn't have a good game against Brentford. Why? Because he knows he hasn't got the backing of the manager. There's a difference in that. Like, I don't care what anybody says. You know, if he goes, if for instance, and I'll tell you this now. If he pulls him in the office tomorrow and says, "Right, you're playing against Aston Villa, and you're now the number one. I've made a mistake, Aaron. You're the number one. So whatever happens from now on, that's how it's going to be, right?" I bet my bottom dollar on it that Ramsdale will perform and not have the nervousness, right? That's what I think, right? But don't you think that he's told this to Raya? You're the number one, and whatever, like, you know what I mean? And or if he hasn't, there's something to be there. And he is still making mistakes. Now, I'm going to make a statement here, and I'm going to say it tomorrow when I go on the Invincibles. I'm going to say it wherever I go now, like, yeah. Newcastle United away, right? I think Mikel went in there on that rant to cover up what happened with the goalkeeper, because no one's talking about the horrendous cross he didn't get for that game, like. All we're talking about is Arteta and the VAR. Nothing. Realistically, he should have caught it. I'll see it again today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing's ever said about that. So there's one that's him at fault there. So it's cost us 2 points in that game. Like, you know, no, sorry, 3 points in that game. It could have cost us 2 points yesterday. The Chelsea game, there's another 2 points down the Swanee. Like, now, I don't want to keep nitpicking and going on about all these mistakes and all that. Like, you know, it didn't cost us in the end yesterday, but you cannot come into Arsenal Football Club like when Ramsdale. If Ramsdale would have had the sort of performances that Raya is having when Leno was in the team, they would have been outraged to get Leno back in, Dan. You know what I mean?
But
the reason there wasn't was because Ramsdale was playing so bloody well. And
do you
that's
remember
my
we
problem
even
now.
take it back further, Lee, when we had Lukic, David
Yes,
Seaman come in, and everyone, and listen, I'm very, very young, so I
I
was very
remember
young at
it.
the time, but I'm sure you remember it. Who the hell is this lad from QPR, and why are we dropping John Lukic? Oh, that's why we're dropping John Lukic. Cheers, John. Take care. Go have fun back at Leeds. We've got David Seaman. That is what Edison did with Joe Hart, and that's what Alisson's done with Mignolet. And now that's what we were hoping was going to happen. Oh, we're a little bit annoyed, Ramsdale, a bit harsh, but wow, I can see why Rye's coming. He's absolutely leaps and bounds ahead of
Yeah,
Ramsdale.
that is
We ain't done that,
the
mate. And
no,
you
that
know,
is the problem. That is
and
your problem.
I'll ask this as a serious question to everyone in the chat and everyone watching this on catch up, and to you, Lee. Let's say we don't buy David Raya and we got in Casper Schmeichel as a number 2 at 35, whatever he is, right? Let's say we did that. Ramsdale plays. This is a hindsight question, but I want you to answer it in your honest opinion, because we don't know the answer, but what you think your opinion of it is, right? Does Ramsdale get lobbed at Chelsea? Does Ramsdale get lobbed at Newcastle? Does Ramsdale get pass the ball out at Lons and concede goals? Does Ramsdale give the ball away to the Man City forward and the Tottenham forward and get away with both of them? These are questions I don't know. But what I will say is I don't think that we would be in this situation if we had a Kasper Schmeichel at number 2
Yeah.
and Ramsdale at number 1. That's my honest opinion, but I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Lee.
Uh,
Would we
it,
be any better off? Because,
it,
you know, Harry said today on the chat with me and you, yeah, but look at the stats when Ray has been in, the clean sheets, the records, blah, blah, blah. But do we really think that wouldn't have been the case if Ramsdale was in? Would none of that have happened? Would there be no run? There'd be no clean sheets? I don't think Ray has been pivotal to that run of form and those clean sheets, personally.
Listen, you know what I mean? Good old Harry, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he'll be round mowing Mikel's lawn tomorrow, like, you know what I mean? So, and doing it for nothing, you know what I mean? Like, seriously. But like, you know, we've been vulnerable on corners lately, like, you know, at the end of the day, more vulnerable on corners. Why? You know what I mean? And what I'm saying is, I'm going to say this now, really, and I'll be really honest. Edison, fantastic goalkeeper, like, yeah, for Manchester City. Like, he messed up the other week. He messed up against
So did Alisson.
Alisson. They've all messed up. All these goalkeepers mess up, like, yeah. I'm not saying that they don't, right? They make mistakes. But and Ramsdale's made mistakes as well in the past. I'm not saying that he hasn't. Every goalkeeper makes mistakes, right? Yeah. But they make, you know, let's see when Edison's next mistake is. Right, let's see when it is. It won't be next week. It won't be in 2 weeks' time. Like, you know, good goalkeepers don't. I've seen him mess up against Chelsea now. Like, you know, I've seen him mess up at Newcastle. I've now seen him mess up a lot. You know, so when you go on about clean sheets, is it maybe that we've changed our style a little bit and we're a little bit more whatever? I don't know. That game was a little bit more open yesterday, if I'll be really honest. Forget about clean sheets and all that. Like yesterday's game, we was more open. We wasn't as in control of that game like we have been in the past. Why? Because maybe we went back to our old style a little bit yesterday, like when we're looking like we're going to score every time. I don't know. I don't really know why it is like, you know what I mean? All I know is that Ramsdale was the goalkeeper of the season last season. Yeah. All I know is that I never turned around at the end of last season going that we need an upgrade on a goalkeeper. I'm not saying that, you know, that we you know, I don't know. For instance, if Edison come available, right, then I understand it's being ruthless. He said if he turned around and said, I want to come to Arsenal, then I can understand it being a bit ruthless. It's like if Mbappe wants to come to Arsenal, like you might have to get rid of Martinelli. It's harsh, but those things you might have to do. That's part of football. I get that. But when you're bringing in someone that's not improving, and when people turn around and go, oh, he was brilliant at Brentford. Brilliant at Brentford. It's a different kettle of fish when you're playing for Arsenal.
Agreed.
Pressure's on. You know what I mean? I'm not being horrible. If Brentford, whoever they beat or lose tonight, is it going to be at the back pages? Arsenal lose at Luton to say it's all over the place, all over social media. So don't tell me, yeah, he's done well at Brentford. I don't want to hear he's done well at Brentford. He's played 10 games for Arsenal, and I tell you what, he's in the Almunia fucking camp at this moment in time. Like, you know what I mean? He's not in the Leno. You know what I mean? He ain't in that camp at this moment in time, you know? And this is not the first time under this goalkeeping coach we've messed up on decisions, you know what I mean? Martinez, Leno, who's the better goalkeeper?
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day. You know, probably Martinez is better than most. We'll see that on Saturday. But there you go. This is I've got to bring this comment up from Mark Jerome. Fantastic. Before we completed the signing of Raya, Arteta said that there were times when he wanted to change the goalkeeper, right? Wanted to change the goalkeeper for someone that's done him what he's done in the last 2 years is an incredibly piss-poor statement that he made, right? Yeah? Now he refuses to criticise Raya even after a match interview when he's thrown 2 goals in or against Chelsea and all that, like, you know what I mean? So when you turn around and say, well done, Mark. When you're turning around and saying Ramsdale, you know, is a little bit nervous at Brentford. Too damn right he is, because he knows the manager don't want him there, like, you know. And the fact of it is, if he brings in Ramsdale now, it means that he's wrong. And Mikel Arteta would rather cut his nuts off than do that, like, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what Mikel would rather do. He'd rather go round to Harry's once a week and do his lawn for nothing than admit he's wrong. There you go.
Mate, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. You know, and Harry was saying earlier, you know, about it, and he was, you know, big up Harry because we love Harry Simony.
We love Harry,
but you know, wow. And I got what he was meaning. He stuck with Xhaka, it worked. He stuck with Ben White at right back, it worked. He stuck with, he's sticking with Havertz now. He's sticking with all this kind of stuff. But there's been the stuff before he stuck with that ain't worked, Lee, you know, and he has got the goalkeeping wrong. Runnison was an awful signing. That was him and this goalkeeper. Runnison, Willian, keeping Danny Ceballos, keeping older players, signing players like Lukonga and Tavares, Marie, Cedric. We've got a lot of these players that he's bought that haven't worked out. So there is things he gets wrong.
Lukonga.
And he deserves criticising. Yeah, Lukonga, who can't get into the Luton side. You know, this is, for me, this is poor. So he deserves a hell of a lot of credit. It also deserves a lot of criticism. And unfortunately, a lot of fans don't like to hear the criticism. They only like to hear the positive stuff, which is fair. It's up to you how you see it.
Another great point. Ramsdale kept a clean sheet against Brentford. I think Brentford are a better team than Luton.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But listen, we can go on and on about this. Like, I'm fed up with it, if I'll be really honest. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm with you. I'm with you on the goalkeeping thing.
I'm fed up with the goalkeeping thing now. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, Raya is the number one. Like, you know. And listen, if Arsenal don't win the league this season, then and it comes down, and he keeps continuing to do what he's doing, there's only one man to blame.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Just lastly on the keeper, because we are way over talking about this. 50 million bid from Chelsea and Newcastle comes in for Ramsdale in January. Sell or keep?
Well, I'm selling. If I'm Aaron Ramsdale in his camp there, I'm selling like, you know what I mean. I'm walking there. If he doesn't play on Saturday, right, after that performance and the one against Chelsea and the one against Newcastle, right, it tells you everything you need to know. Like, especially when we go back to that statement, I've wanted to change the goalkeeper. Like, you know, right, yeah. And if Arsenal hold him back from that, it's scandalous. You know, they probably will do. But if Newcastle come calling, I think Aaron's got to force that move. You know what I mean? Because that's a fantastic move for him. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, you know, right. Christopher, what's this? Come on, Lee. Rambo kept a clean sheet at Brentford because 2 goal line clearances. Yep. What they let him in then? Do they? Is that what they do? You know, if you're on the line, you let them in. You know, yeah. Strange that one, Christopher.
Listen,
Can you come back to me on that? Like, what do they do then? Like, they've done it. So when you have a corner, you don't put no one on the goal line then, like, you know, just let the goalkeeper save them. Is that what we're saying now, Christopher? Come back to me on that one, please.
Listen, I think we will get rid of somebody.
My point is, he got beat twice. He got beat twice. Yeah, he got beat. But did he concede a goal, Christopher? Did he keep a clean sheet? Is it on his record, a clean sheet?
Listen, I think we might consider selling if it comes in with a bid like that. What is crazy is that he won't go to a Wolves, a Palace, a Brighton, a Fulham, in my opinion. He will go to a Newcastle, Chelsea or United. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the level, because he's a good enough goalkeeper. So it is a shame. We'll be strengthening one of our rivals. I think it's a massive risk if we sell him, and I'll tell you why. £50 million is a good lot of money, you know, for somebody like Aaron Ramsdale. Don't get me wrong. However, RAYA, hamstring injury, Karl Heinz in goal, and we're getting battered. That kid is no good. So it's a massive risk for Arsenal. We will have to either replace him with somebody as a number 2, or we'll have to stick with Karl Heinz, and I just don't think that's going to happen, man. What's Christopher saying now?
Rambo needs a backstop. He's started playing baseball now. Like, you know what I mean? He's actually changed. He's changed the not changed the goalpost. He's changed the game. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there you go. All I asked is, did he keep a clean sheet or not? Like, I mean, what about backstops and all that? Like, how did we get on against Brentford? What was the score?
Oh, there we go. Sakaya says, "How do I know Karl Heinz ain't good? Just take a look, mate. Use the eye test. Trust me, the guy is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. He looks like Runnison, and unless you rated Runnison, I personally didn't. I see Karl Heinz in the pre-season games, and it looks like my nephew in goal, if I'm honest. So it's pretty poor. Anyway, enough of the goalkeeping situations, because we won a game last night, and it was a lot of positives moving forward for Arsenal last night. Do you know what? There was something you and I spoke about last night that I disagreed on, and it was Ben White and the defence. Because I thought Ben White defensively was poor, and I thought Kivior defensively was poor. Gabriel and Saliba, I didn't think was shambolic. I think they could have done better in the air, if I'm honest, the pair of them. However, I don't think they deserved to have a performance that needed to score 3 goals against them. But the negatives there, for me, were outweighed by some of the positives in what we did going forward, Lee. And I thought, really, from them onwards, I thought every player had a really half-decent game. I thought Ødegaard was a bit meh in the first half, and probably for the first 10-15 of the second half, but really turned it on in the last 10-15. I thought Havertz deserves a lot of plaudits. I thought Saka deserved a lot of plaudits. His strength is unreal, man. He's got 3 players around him. He still manages to get it round them somehow. Jesus from minute 1 to minute 90, I thought was exceptional in terms of his link-up play, his strength, his hold-up play. I thought was immense. But Declan Rice again, man. Declan Rice, £105 million, and we have got an absolute monster in midfield. Somebody that can do everything in midfield, somebody who can do interceptions, passing, tackling, physical presence, mentality, leadership, passion, desire. I don't know there's anything this kid can't do, Lee. I'm a massive, massive fan, and I just wanted to get your opinion, from some of the performances outfield, because I thought there were many to be pleased of, man, going forward.
Yeah, like, listen, the Ben White one, I've watched the game back. Should have done better, much better for their goal. Really, like you could turn around and say in his defence that he pushed him wide, and it's a shot that the goalkeeper should save. But he should have been a lot bit more aggressive, if I'll be honest, towards it there. Like I thought going forward, he was back to
I agree with that. Mark said in the chat, great ball to Jesus, which it was.
Yeah, he done very, very well going forward, and also I think that him and Saka do work well together. I do think there's that understanding when he makes he triggers a move, and Ben White plays the ball into him. He actually rolls the ball into him, look like it's going nowhere, and it's actually into space, which Saka runs onto. He knows exactly what he's doing. So from that point of view there, but I think he's got to tidy up on his defending a little bit. What I did like about Ben White on a couple of occasions was, I'm only noticing through the game, that long diagonal ball he cut out. You know what I mean? Like on 3 or 4 occasions. But back when we had Cedric and Bellerin, that was going straight over their head, and the left side fella was on for a run. So I didn't think that I thought he actually played better than what he actually did defensively. As I said, I don't think Saliba and Gabriel were at their best. I think you have to give Luton credit for that. They put in headers and things like that, like where you look at it and think to yourself, well, maybe they're not used to that week in, week out, that sort of defending. I know that sounds silly, but it was old school sort of game, wasn't it? Like, like put it in there sort of thing. You're used to playing, going through the lines. I'm not sure there. I think listen, I think he was hung out to dry a little bit by playing out in left back. And at the end of the day, if I'd rather have Shinchenko playing there as a left back than a centre half that's not playing at left back. I think he done okay. Like he wasn't great on the ball. And it was a tough game for him. I think he'll have better games for Arsenal. I do think there's a player in there in him, I'll be honest, but I think he's a left-sided central defender, and I think it was a very, very difficult night for all of our defenders, if I'll be honest. I don't think none of them were brilliant, hence why we didn't keep a clean sheet. There was a couple of times I thought, I've looked at it today, the Saliba pass for Gabriel straight in a dangerous area. We concede a corner. We then concede the goal from the corner. Like there was a few little things in there, so that's the negatives. They're the negatives. The positives for me were 3 players that really did shine in that game, and Kai Havertz being one of them. I thought he was good from start to finish. What I liked about him, which I haven't seen in the last few games, which is obviously a confidence thing, is when he picked the ball up, he drove into space. He drove past players. He's been being a little bit safe at times, but he drove past players, drove into areas, and then played the ball on. I thought he done that very, very well. Physically, he was in it, Dan. He kept some gut. He never winched anything or whatever. I thought he done very, very well. I think Jesus up front, if we don't have him in that game, we don't win that game. Simple as that. Involved in 3 of the goals, scored one, made one with the throw, and the hold-up play. Don't underestimate how important that goal was to score that 3 minutes. Was it 3 minutes after after they had gone 3-2 up? That was a very, very important goal. Held off the centre forward, actually bullied him to get him into the box, and then played a delightful pass. You know what I mean? If you watch that, it's a fantastic pass, made to measure. And a very, very good run from Kai Havertz, and finish it off. Do you know what I also liked about that is he picked the ball out of the back of the net and went back. There was none of this over celebrating that goal. You know what I mean? So there's times to celebrate, Dan, and there's times not to. That weren't one of them, and they got back and went again. So them 3. I'm sorry, then, and let's just talk about Declan for 2 minutes, because it's like with the goalkeeper situation, it's a little bit like this with him now. I can't keep saying how good he is. I thought he was, again, an 8 out of 10 performance, and that's a poor performance for him, 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? That's how good he is at this moment in time. Well, his best game last night, but still gets around the pitch, still bringing out the passes, getting into positions, wants the ball all the time. Some of his tackling, he doesn't really tackle, he just nicks the ball, was brilliant. And I think with Odegaard as well, I didn't think he had a great game, but I watched it back today, always wanting the ball, Dan, always looking to get the ball in difficult areas, not afraid not to have it. If he lost it, he wasn't there again. That's brave, to be able to do that. And as we said about Saka, I thought, by the way, Saka was always a menace in the game. Saka didn't have his greatest game against Brentford a couple of weeks ago, and then delivered the pass for Havertz. That pass or that cross for Rice's goal is fantastic. I've watched it today. I didn't really appreciate it being there
Nah.
because it happens very quickly. It's at an angle. His body shape's away from the goal. He's turned himself round. Okay, he's putting it into an area, but he's put it bang on the money. Bang on the money. So for that bit of class, that's class then, you know what I mean? So, and that's what you want in those defining moments, your main men to come to the front. And I believe all our main men did like yesterday. Jesus was brilliant. I thought the two wide players got kicked all over the place. One thing I just want to say about them, weren't at their greatest, but I'll tell you what, there's an old saying in football, put it on them, see if they fancy it. See if they fancy it. Well, they got kicked, bashed into the back and all that. They still kept coming back for the ball. I admire that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so fair play to the two wide players. But for me, Jesus, Kai Havertz, and Declan Rice see us through. And it's fantastic that, Kai Havertz is now being talked about that. What's that, 3 and 4 games for him? So since Maddison's got injured, he's sort of it's like weight's been lifted off his shoulders, so to speak.
I know. Tom reminded me of that today.
Yeah, I think Tom's getting a little bit confident now.
Getting confident now of our bet, and if Maddison remains injured, then I might be in the mud with our charity bet. Let's be real. Listen, let me talk about them individually quickly. I want to go.
What's your thoughts?
You made, because I want to start with Kai Havertz. Funny enough, because that's the best game I've seen him have in an Arsenal shirt. I thought he was really good in the Champions League game. I think it was against Lens, where he was good as well. I think we're starting to see some of his attributes come to light in a higher position on the pitch. I don't like him in an attacking 8 position. I don't like him in midfield, breaking up play and passing the ball backwards. I like him causing a nuisance of himself up top. And I think that's probably one of the only things that I can say that consistently he's done in an Arsenal shirt is cause a nuisance and break up play. I do like the fact that when he was up top with Jesus, we were kind of in a 4-4-2 league. Yes, Ødegaard was deeper, and I'm not really sure I like that. I think I'd prefer him in that attacking 10 role. But what I will say about Havertz's game, with Ødegaard deeper, Havertz got brought into the game more. And I said that I wanted to see Havertz coming on for the last 20 in an Olivier Giroud type cameo in the box, causing problems. Against Brentford, what did he do? He come on, he scored, and he won us the game. Now we see him do well in the Champions League in that kind of more attacking role, and then again in last night's game, he's up top, he's causing a nuisance, and he's breaking up play, and he's getting involved. And I think that's the word, getting involved. I've seen him get involved before, but I want to see him get involved, which can impact the team. And that's what we've started to see the difference of in the last few games. Is actually what he was doing weren't nothing coming of it. Actually, it was a goal, or it was an assist, or it was a creative chance. That's what we're starting to see now at Havertz. And I hope that it continues. I've still got my doubts, if I'm honest with you, Lee. I don't think, wow, this guy is immense. Like, keep him in the side. He's going to take us to a title. But I will say that we're starting to see improvements. Jesus, I really, really hate the people that were giving him a load of stick for the comments that he made the other week, by then making him out to be a shocking centre forward, because he ain't one, mate. I'll tell you that now. I've seen him in the last few games. If he ain't scoring, which to be fair, he has been, even if he ain't scoring, he's creating, he's causing a nuisance, he's getting involved, he's working hard, he's winning the ball back, he's linking up play, he's raising the standards around him of Saka and Martinelli and Ødegaard and making sure that they're in the game with him, and he's doing his best to help the people around him. I've got a lot of time for that, and people were saying, Jesus, you don't win titles with Jesus. Well, Man City did, and the last time that we won, I saw 2 teams win the league with someone who scored under 10, 11 goals, was Firmino and Jesus. And Man City and Liverpool looked pretty good that year because they won the league. So when I look at it, Arsenal can, in my opinion, go into January and get a centre forward, and I'd love them to do it. But it doesn't mean Jesus is poor and that he needs to be replaced because we ain't good enough. I think he's been unbelievable since those comments have come out. I think he's been a really good player for us, and I've been really, really impressed. But the one that I'm talking about the most is Declan Rice, bro, because I look at everything I want to see in an Arsenal player, and it's him. I don't think we've seen somebody like him in that position in the Emirates era, because we have had Coquelin, Song. We've had Granit Xhaka. We've had more as well that ain't quite cut the mustard, like Denilson and even Diaby, who was great but got injured all the time. This player's come in a role like that, not a Cazorla or Ozil or Fabregas. I'm talking about, a steal in midfield. And really, you're looking at Thomas Partey, and that's it. And he can't keep fit either. Rice for me is everything that I want to see in an Arsenal player. He should be wearing the armband, in my opinion. It doesn't mean I hate Erdegaard and want him stripped of the captaincy, but okay, he's another captain we got in the side. Brilliant. Doesn't mean I hate Erdegaard and want him gone, like I was seeing yesterday. For me, he's an unbelievable leader. He's got mentality that I want to see in this side. Everything that I loved about Kieran Tierney, Declan Rice has got as well.
Yeah.
So for me, I look at what Rice has got in this Arsenal side, and if we win a title or a trophy, don't know if that's going to happen. I hope it does. I will look back to that signing and go, "You're one of the reasons that we got that, because you are absolutely worth every penny." And there's nothing I don't like about him, Lee. He comes across in interviews well. He comes to the crowd well. He's fitted in straight away. 105 million, by the way. Yeah, and you wouldn't know it. No one's talking about his price tag. Why is that? Because he's worth it, mate. He's been worth every penny. No one's going, 105 million for Rice. They got mugged off. They had their pants pulled down. I'd pay it all over again, mate. Everything I'm seeing is proving as to why this guy is worth every single penny. I just love everything I see about this guy, Lee. I don't know how much more superlatives I can give him. He's one of my favourite players, and he's only been here for 10, 11 games. He is mustard, mate.
And I've got to say that, and it's just put this super chat up there. Like, one of the things that I think one of the biggest compliments that I can give Declan Rice, is that we haven't missed Thomas Partey.
Facts.
Like, we've missed Thomas Partey. Don't get me wrong. I like to see Thomas Partey in the side. Don't get me wrong. But last season when he was out for a couple, you're looking at it, counting days that he come back, desperate for Ghana to go out of the African nation so he could come back and all that, But now it's chilled. It's a chilled situation, like, you know what I mean? And that's just a massive compliment to him. I really do. I think he's that good. I'm Partey's a fantastic player. They're a little bit different, but he just does everything that you want from a holding midfield player, and a little bit more, if you know what I mean. Like,
I agree.
He gets around, and I'm with you. I can see. Do you know what? I'm going to say this now. I understand the West Ham anger that he was going to Arsenal and letting him go and all that, like, because when I'm watching him now, like, he's been fantastic for us so far. We've only had like 3 or 4 months of him, but you can see he's a likable person. You wouldn't want him going to one of your rivals. You wouldn't want him going to another Premier League team, would you? Do you know? I get why West Ham are a little bit bitter about it, because what I'm seeing of this guy, it's just unbelievable. Speaking to West Ham Paul yesterday, every time Declan Rice scores, I told you what about Declan, didn't I? I said, yeah, and I bloody well believed you, mate. You know what I mean? But he's on the phone last night, like, Declan Rice, you know what I mean? Like, I told you, and he's right, and he's a West Ham fan that actually wanted Declan Rice to go on and do really, really well, and that's how it is, I think that he's up there with the best midfielders in the country now. I really do. And he probably was when he was at West Ham.
If we were to sell him tomorrow, I know we bought him for 105 million. If we sell him tomorrow, we're getting more than that. We're getting more than 105 million. So then when people say, "Oh, it's a lot of money," yeah, but if we sold him tomorrow, which I don't want us to do, by the way, it'd be 150 or 125, or whatever it'd be, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be 80 million. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you've got to pay the money for these players, mate. You've just got to pay it.
Yeah.
We're in an age now where you can't sit and count your pennies. If you're going to go and win trophies in the Premier League, you've got to go and spend money, mate. And I'm with you on the West Ham thing. I think a lot of people hated it, and I understand why. I don't want to see Van Persie go to Man United. It's a very similar thing, isn't it? One of your favourite players is leaving you. He's been there for a long time, so I understand it, right? But you can see why he wanted to get out of West Ham and prove his career, because he weren't going to go win no titles at West Ham. He weren't going to go and have potential to play Champions League football with West Ham. So you understand why he wanted to go. I'm just glad he picked us, man, because I look at it now. You mentioned you think he's right up there with the best in the world. I was having this question debate the other day on my channel about world class. So I'm not going to mention world class. I'm going to talk about the best players in the world right now. And I honestly believe that Arsenal don't have any world class players right now. Right, we're going to have in a few years' time when they start winning stuff, when they start actually playing Champions League football regularly, all that kind of stuff. I think though, what we have got right now is maybe 4, 5 positions where we've got players that are in the top 5 in the world at. Because for me, I don't see 5 better centre backs than Saliba in the world.
Yeah.
I don't see
And
5 better.
Gabriel.
Yeah, and Gabriel's been unbelievably underrated
Yeah.
for the last 2 years, by the way, not just the last few games. Saka got to be the best top 5 in his position. Even Martinelli, Martin Odegaard, these kind of players we're talking about now. You might say, yeah, there's maybe 5, maybe they're in the top 5, maybe they're bit, but you're debating it. You're having that opinion of it. Declan Rice is definitely one of those players.
Yeah.
Because Rodri, yeah, you can say he's better. Of course he has. He just bloody won the treble. But when you look at it and you pick going forward, you're going, hang on a minute, I'm running out of players here. Declan Rice is in it. You do that with Saka. You know, you can mention Salah. You can mention Rodrigo over at Real Madrid. You can mention Leroy Sané if you want. Mahrez still people to talk about. But Saka's right up there, man. So I honestly think, Lee, that not just a bright future, it's a bright now. And that's why I want to win now, not in 5 years' time. These players, they're ready to win games of football right now, mate.
Oh, they are. They are. There's a mentality there, and if this team sticks together, I honestly do think that we're going to have a really, really good team. I really do. I think that we've got a real, what's the word? A base of players that are all like not even in their prime yet, and if they grow together, this could be a really, really successful era for Arsenal. Like, you know, one that we could. Have a real enjoyment about. Listen, Liverpool have gone just through one of the most wonderful sort of periods of their lives, really, like, you know, watching Liverpool. Like, but unfortunately for them, they had Man City in their prime. You know what I mean? If I'll be honest, but this is the season now where, you know, Manchester City are playing at this moment without De Bruyne. I know he's coming back, but he's in his 30s, late 30s. He's struggling with a few injuries. They're going to have to need to replace him. It's easier said than done, then. Oh, we've got all the money in the world, right? Go and replace De Bruyne. Who's better than De Bruyne?
Yeah.
So how can you replace someone that's the best? So when you lose De Bruyne, you're obviously going to go down. Gundogan's gone. Big loss for them. You know what I mean? Like 15 goals he got from midfield. Where's their 15 goals coming from midfield this season? Like, you know, so when these players go, you've got to replace Vieira. Vieira's the best midfield player in the world in his position. You know what I mean? Well, the one player you'd probably say you could replace Vieira was probably Roy Keane. But Roy Keane's at Man United and not going to go anywhere. Like, so where's the next Vieira coming from? You know, they've done fantastically well to replace the forwards. You know, like that they've done that with Haaland, but Haaland may not be there for forever. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? You know, they've replaced Aguero, didn't they? With probably Haaland over a year or so. But you know, that's happening. Like, I think that when you look at players, and not just squad players at Man City, I'm just picking on Man City at the moment. Like, you know. Mahrez, bloody good player, like, you know what I mean? We knew when he come in, quality. He's not there no more. So when they, who they bringing on? You know, they're bringing on a young kid.
Doku, isn't it?
Yeah, Doku played. What's the young kid that Lewis come on, like, you know what I mean?
Lewis, yeah.
No Mahrez, is he, like, you know what I mean? So everybody you know, it's very, very hard to to do this, you know what I mean? Arsenal have, over the years now, I've got 5 or 6, 7 players that are in their early 20s, still learning, must be loving life at Arsenal when you're all that age as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, doing all got the same sort of interests and things like that. I imagine they have a great laugh going away on away trips and all that. Like you know, like having PlayStation games and whatever. Like, you know, what the youngsters do. I don't know what they do, like, but whatever. Like, you know. And I imagine they're all growing together and they're all going to get better and better. It must be a fabulous time to be. But what you've got to do, which is the most important thing now, is to start winning things. getting over the line, So, and Arsenal can do that this season. They really can, you know what I mean? Listen, I think next Saturday is a massive game. I know we say that every time, but if we can win that game, Manchester City don't play the following week because they're in for the World Championships. So there's a chance that we could go in front, maybe 6 points 7 points in front of them. You know what I mean? Like opening up a gap, you know what I mean? Try and get into double figures, trying to move it on a little bit, These next two or 3 weeks for Arsenal are massive. But
Huge.
But that was I wouldn't say defining thing as far as the league. Getting those 2 points, if we'd have drawn that game yesterday, it brings everybody into the pack closest to us going into to Villa and Liverpool in a couple of weeks. So massive win that last night, Dan. Massive.
Well, listen, Lee, we had them last year. We've already had Brentford last minute. We've had Man United last minute. Now we've had Luton last minute. Last season, we had Villa last minute at Villa Park, which we'll come on to next. And obviously, we had Bournemouth in Reece Nelson moment in the last kick of the game at home. Unfortunately, those games didn't go on to mean anything. They need to this time. This year, we've got to make them count and we've got to go on to it. And that's where I want to kind of close is we've got 3 games coming up in the Premier League, which are huge. We've got PSV as well, which we can't forget about. But, of course, we're going to be going there, I believe, with a little bit more of a B team.
Yeah.
We've got Villa Park. We've got Brighton at home, which is never easy because they always seem to do well at the Emirates. Brighton.
Yes.
Always do. Bogey team, right? And then we've got Liverpool at Anfield. Now, them 3 games, for me, will tell me where we really are this year because we got 2 unbelievably difficult games away from home there. Villa haven't lost at home for, I think it's 15, 16, might even be more, 17 or 18 games at home that Villa have not lost. And let's be real, Arsenal have not won at Anfield since the 2012 season where Cazorla and Podolski scored.
Yeah.
We actually won 2 in a row there because Van Persie got the wicked volley the year before, if you remember.
Yes, I do remember that.
It's 2 years on the trot we beat them, and we ain't beaten them since the 2012 season. So, massive games. And the Brighton one. People are not talking about that, but Brighton beat us 3-0 and battered us last year. Year before that, we played Xhaka at left back and we lost again. We threw the top 4 away in one of those games. And then I think it was probably 2, 3, 4 years in a row we struggled against them, even under Emery, where we drew the game, if you remember, and threw top 4 away, where Xhaka gave a penalty away. It's been very, very difficult there. So for me, these 3, mate, will tell us mentally how strong we are as well as how good we are on a pitch, mate.
Yes, definitely. And I think let's just take the Villa game first. I think what I want to see today is Aston Villa and Manchester City beating each other up, you know what I mean? That might be a good thing for us. We get the extra day. They might have a little bit of a rest. They might be a little bit more tired than we are going into that game. I think that we've got to make a statement at Anfield. I do believe that, Dan. I think, listen, we played there last season. We come away disappointed. We drew 2-2. So that tells you a lot, you know what I mean? When we've been getting pumped every time we've been up there, we always disappoint. We know we should have won that game. We made a couple of mistakes. We've got to do that again, terrorise them and all that. If teams come at us and open up against us, Liverpool will do, with Trent. If Trent wants to leave his position, good luck to you, and leaving Martinelli to have a free reign, then so be it, So we need to defend well there, make no mistakes, and then be ruthless. But I think these 3 games will be very, very important. Listen, if you said to me, look, we're gonna get 7 points from these games, I'll bite your hand off for it. I'll take it. But I do believe Arsenal could get 9 from this. I do. I think that if we can go to Villa, which will be tough, but on the back of whatever happens tonight, we can get something from that, beat them. I think we was the last team to beat them. It will, it'll be a tough game, but if we can go there and win, defend properly, somehow get over against Brighton. Don't forget, Brighton has still got a European game on the Thursday, where we've really got most of our top players should be rested because of the PSV game. So we're in a good position to play Villa after 3 days after they've played Man City, to play Brighton after a European trip, which they need to get something from, and then to go to Liverpool where we've got a week's rest. So it's a nice place to come and go here. I think these 3. Going to say it now, Dan. Right? I still think Arsenal have got that little performance like Luton in them. But if we were to go to Villa and win there, beat Brighton and beat Liverpool, this title is on, mate. This title.
Yeah, big time. Big time. Let me ask you this question. I'm going to ask the chat to put their answers in the chat for us as well, right? Lose to Villa, beat Brighton and beat Liverpool, or you beat Brighton and you draw to Villa and you draw to Liverpool. So you don't lose a game, but you only pick up 5 points, or you lose one at Anfield at Villa, but you pick up 2 wins and you get your 6 points. So you get an extra point.
I'm going to say lose to Villa, beat Liverpool, because I think at the end of the day, I think that Liverpool will be more of our rivals come the end of the season, and it's more points.
So you take the extra point as long as you win at Anfield.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it is, man. Like for me, draws, they don't do you no favours. They really don't.
They're not great, are they? They're not great.
They're not. Man United know that. They've been shambolic the amount of games they've lost, but they're still up there because they ain't drew one game. So they've been up there. They've either won or drew, and that's why.
Yeah, that's a great point.
There or thereabouts. You can draw 20 games. It's only going to get you 20 points, which means you need another 20 just to stay up. So for me, draws are fine when you think, oh, didn't deserve to win that. We take something like that. I don't want another one of those. I've got to go and win. For me, you got to go. You got to go and win the games. And if you're going to beat Brighton and Liverpool, or even Brighton and Villa, I still wouldn't mind losing the other one if it meant that we're going to take 6 points and not 5. So listen, I think we can take all 9 because I think we're playing well enough to go and take all 9. However, I don't sit there and believe that it's going to be easy, because play like we did last night against Villa won't be easy. Won't be easy at Anfield either. But when you see it, for me, it's got to be mentally. You got to go to those grounds, because we got over it, didn't we? We had, what was it? Manchester United at Old Trafford, couldn't beat them since 2006. Got that off of our shoulder. Last season at North London Derby away from home, got that off our shoulder. This is the one now, Anfield for me. We beat Villa last year at Villa Park and the year before. We need to go to Anfield for me and pick up 3 points and just show everyone that we're serious. Because if we win these 3 games, Paul Merson said it, and he included Wolves and Luton in it as well. If they win them games right the way up to Anfield, Arsenal win the title. Now, I'm not saying we will win the title if we win our next 3 games, but people will start saying, yeah, they're serious, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are.
And the confidence from that, will be unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, last question, mate, before we close. January window is amongst us, or is going to be anyway, after these games. Now, these games got to get out of the way first. Nothing we can do until the 1st of January onwards. Let me ask you an honest question, Lee. What do you think is going to happen in January? Like, there's a lot of rumours and there's a lot of what we need. I think we all know what we need. What does Lee Judges think is going to happen?
I honestly think I think that they're planning one signing, a midfield player. I do think that's what's going to happen. I think they'll either go big for a midfield player. I'm going to be really honest. I think that the centre forwards that they want maybe not be available in January. So I think that they go for a forward. They may bring in another defender, depending on what's happening with the injuries front. I don't know how long Tommy Asu's going to be out. We'll have to wait and see, but. And as Christopher says, we might need a backstop. Let's try and get a backstop in, Apparently they're going cheap this time.
Love it, Christopher.
Well, Chris, I love that, you know what I mean? So that's quality. That deserves a round of applause. Well done. I like that.
Mate, I mean, Paulini is being mentioned.
Paulini
is being mentioned. Obviously, Aaron's in the chat. Big up, Aaron, in the chat, talking about Paulini from Fulham. Would that be an interesting signing for you?
I like him, but
yeah.
I don't think it's the one that I don't think it suits the DNA of what Arsenal are going for. If I'll be honest. But Jorginho wasn't in January, was it? But you would say that Jorginho's been a successful time for the year that he's done. Not a regular, and we know that, but coming in as a squad player. I think if you're going to sign someone, it's got to come in and improve the team, and for me, that's going to be difficult to do, but I think there are midfield players out there that can improve it. Listen, if Thomas Partey comes back and is fit and raring to go towards, and we can get him to the end of the season fit, then I think that's going to be a big decision. I know I don't like to say it's like another new signing coming in. I know we don't like to say that, but it would be that sort of scenario. Then you can maybe look to get somewhere else in the side. But I think that maybe a midfield player and maybe a defender. I think we might get two in.
Interesting. Boston in the chat saying that we have submitted a second bid for Diamande. If that's true from Sporting Lisbon, that is a brilliant centre half option. I think he's got a high ceiling at 19 years old. He looks an absolute monster. Right-sided centre back, say, be one that would come in for Saliba if he was out instead of shifting Ben White or Tomiyasu there. Wouldn't be surprised if we did look at that position. I really wouldn't in January. I honestly believe they'll look back to last season. They'll look at Tomiyasu and Timber's injury and they'll go, we don't want this happening again. If Saliba gets injured, we are completely and utterly screwed. So we need another option in there. In terms of Paulinho, my only problem with that, and as much as I really like him, is I see that as a Thomas Partey replacement, and we've already got Jorginho and El Neni there. I don't see that as a Rice replacement. And I'm not saying we replace Declan Rice, but we do need cover for him. And someone's got to be that box-to-box cover for Declan Rice. And at the moment, we ain't got one. So I would rather put my money towards a Yusuf Fofana or a Kefren Turam who can come in and actually be a proper box-to-box midfielder, or even a Douglas Luiz, as opposed to someone who sits and just holds and anchors. Because Rice, Partey, Jorginho, El Neni and Paulinho, that's five that can all hold. We need someone that can go backwards and forwards. So that's what I would say. I think we're short at right wing because Nelson doesn't seem to be trusted, but that's a summer move. And I think you're right, Lee. Everybody that we want up top, whether it be Tony, Evan Ferguson or Osimhen, are all going to be summer moves. So I can't see any centre forward coming in. So going to be interesting, man. Big time. Listen, we're going to leave it there. Do us a favor, people. There's over 300 of you watching. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe to the channel. If you do fancy staying put, it will redirect you over to my show in half hour, which has got a lit panel over at Football's 12th Man. It's got myself, Tom Canton, Albert Sharoy over at AFTV and Northside. So there's going to be heated debates there. Trust me, it'll be a good one over at 7 o'clock. So make sure that you do that. Lee, big up, man. Over to yourself. You're going to close the show.
I am going to close the show. Thanks for watching. Dan, been a star as usual. Have a good evening. Get over and watch Potsy at 7 o'clock. Some good guests on there. And Tom Canton as well. Take care.